Welcome to today's webinar, Taming the Social Media Monster Part 3, brought to you by Pest Management Professional and by our sponsor, Control Solutions. I'm Diane Safranek from North Coast Media, publisher of Pest Management Professional magazine, and I will be your event manager. Before we get started, I want to let you know that today's webinar will be recorded. You are currently in a listen-only mode. The recording will be available 2 weeks from today on our website, mypmp.net/webinars. A link to the on-demand recording will also be mailed to you when it is available. At this time, I'd like to acquaint you with the ways in which you can participate during today's presentation. Please notice in the lower left-hand corner of your console that there is a Submit button. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. Just type in the text box at the bottom left, then click Submit to place your question in queue. Questions that were submitted during registration may be covered in this webinar. Some questions may also be answered in an upcoming issue of PMP Magazine or in one of our biweekly e-newsletters, The Buzz. We strive to answer as many of your questions as possible. Finally, if you experience any technical difficulties during today's event, select Help to submit your issue, and assistant producer Bethany Chambers or I will personally assist you. Now I'd like to turn today's event over to our moderator, PMP Managing Editor, Will Nepper.
Thanks, Diane. As Diane said, this is Will Nepper. I'm Managing Editor of Pest Management Professional, PMP Magazine, and we're very happy to be hosting Marie Knox, Technical Manager for Control Solutions Incorporated, CSI to some of you, and her presentation, Taming the Social Media Monster. Without further ado, Marie, I will let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Will and Diane and everybody who's attending today. This is Marie, and we are actually doing installment number 3, so part 3 of Taming the Social Media Monster. Apparently the first 2 had a lot of good content in them, and you guys wanted even more. So we are going to be working towards building on the basics that we covered in 1 and 2. Today we're going to go ahead and we're going to explore graphics, videos, and image in social media. Why your posts, your pages, and your images, why what they look like is as important as what they say. Give me one moment. I've lost a screen. Very exciting. Will you take a moment while I'm getting my screen back?
Sure. Seems we're having a little bit of technical difficulty right now as Marie fixes her screen. In the meantime, I can tell you that our July issue is out now if you haven't received it in your mailbox. Cover story is Sting Operation, Tips to Control, Exclude and Cash In on Stinging Insect Pests. So we've also got a new supplier spotlight in the July issue. Before long, the digital edition of our July issue will be online at mypmp.net. If you have not signed up for our e-newsletter, The Buzz, you can do that at mypmp.net as well.
All right, I am back, and the screen came back.
All right, great. Then I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much. We are on slide 3, correct? Correct. So in the first 2 installments, let me just make sure. Yep, in the first 2 installments of Taming the Social Media Monster, we covered using Facebook, Twitter, WordPress for blogs, and more for business. We also looked into making your lives easier by employing a platform called Hootsuite, so you can post or tweet across multiple social media platforms just once, rather than having to post and post and post some more to each individual site. You can even schedule posts so they go out while you're doing other things, like sleeping So they go out at optimal times during the day or the week. And we'll briefly touch on some optimal times later, or what that actually means to you. In parts 1 and 2, we also explored how to craft effective tweets, posts, and ads that included a specific call to action to drive valuable web traffic to your website and or blog as well. In part 2 in particular, we dove deep into creating and placing Facebook and Twitter ads. We also covered the analytics, measuring the effectiveness of your ads, and went into detail about how to find your target audience and how to actually target them effectively. So I highly recommend reviewing those 2 webinars in addition to today's content. My goal is to help demystify social media for business and get you all comfortable with marketing yourselves and your company in this way. Now, if you have not attended or viewed parts 1 and 2, don't worry. Still stay on for part 3, because once you do review 1 and 2, some of the basics and the building blocks, everything we do in part 3 today will help it fall into place. We did receive some questions early on during the registration process concerning where you could find parts 1 and 2 of Taming the Social Media Monster. And you can find those first 2 installments in the series on YouTube by going through mypmp.net and clicking on webinars. Once on that page, you can scroll down the list of PMP webinars available on YouTube and click the links to be taken directly to the recordings. So what's going on today? I titled this, Hey Good Lookin', because it is all about being visually catchy, not just wordsmithing properly, but being attractive visually so you can get more clicks in posts, or more clicks on your posts. So today we're going to focus on making everything look really, really good, like professional graphic designer good. And believe me, you are extremely capable of doing this. There are a number of easy, free tools we're going to go over. So we're going to discuss some simple additions you can make to your blog, your website, and all of your social media posts that will take your little slice of the web from ho-hum to oh wow. Now I know everybody likes free. I'm a really big fan of free. I wish all shoes were free, but that's another webinar altogether. So we're going to look at free, yes, actually free, and nearly free software, websites, and services that you can either do yourself or hire someone for as little as $5, really, that will take your website, your Facebook page, and your image graphics to an amazing new level. You'll be surprised at how easy it is to make your web presence eye-catching, and better yet, even more effective at driving business to your door. Some of the programs we'll cover today include Canva. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it yet, but once you do, it's quite addicting. You can make beautiful professional graphics with Canva. You can place text and images on top of your own images and really end up with very professional results that you can use in a number of ways, whether on your website, on your Facebook page, or even just Instagramming some of your visuals that you create. Then we'll also look at Fiverr. It's a website, and it's for almost anything from webinar transcription to new logos to far-out video intros for your YouTube video channel. If you guys happen to maybe use your iPhones or your smartphones and do some cool video clips when you're out in the field, or if you empower your technicians to do that, and maybe you could compile a mini movie of what you do and start your YouTube video channel. Fiverr is a place where you can actually hire people for as little as $5. And we'll get into Fiverr, and there's some exciting videos. Hopefully the technology gods will smile on us today and we won't have any more technical difficulties, and those will run really well for you. And then we're going to do a recap of Hootsuite. so I can remind everybody that you can do this social media thing, and you do not have to spend all of your time doing it. Remember, you are in control of what you're going to post and say and how often you're going to do it. So I would like to empower you with some of the tools that can help you stay in control and not feel overwhelmed. So let's get started by looking at canva.com. And this happens to be just a very simple example of what you can do in Canva. I made this image, and it took me about 35 seconds to actually create this cool image and publish it as a PDF. So what is canva.com? Canva.com is a site that allows you to create really eye-catching graphics for free or for almost free. If you use all of your own images, which I prefer to do, your designs will be free. And if you use the Canva images or any of their special elements, they're just $1 a piece. So say you used 5 of their items or photographs in something that you created, then that would cost you $5. But it's completely free to set up your account with canva.com. You never enter your credit card unless you have to pay for any of the items. Me personally, with my experience with Canva over the last several months, I've never had to pay for anything with Canva. So just so you know, there's no requirement to enter any payment information. And when you're done with your images, you can publish them a couple of different ways, and you can save them to your computer and use your creations however you wish. I mean, you can use them for well beyond business applications, personal applications, invitations, baby announcements, whatever it is, you guys can use them however you wish. Now, as a side note, I prefer to use Google Chrome as my browser when working in Canva. It seems to work the best for me. That's one thing to keep in mind when you're using any sort of designing websites or just websites in general. Some of them are actually optimized on certain browsers. And I like to just open them up in my different browsers and see how well they perform in each browser. And also the other thing to note is some websites don't have their mobile sites ready yet. So like canva.com is an example. They're relatively new, and their mobile site's not ready. So you have to work right now on a desktop or a laptop. But they are working on their mobile site, so eventually you'll be able to do it on your iPads and tablets. So before I get into this slide, just as a little side note, I am not benefiting by recommending any of these websites or tools. I simply recommend them to you because it might be what I'm working on at the moment, or what I'm learning about, or what has benefited me business-wise or social media-wise. So anything that I recommend, I'm not necessarily endorsing any of these companies or websites. I'm just sharing with you my experiences and how I think that they might be helpful for you. So let's get back into canva.com, and where on earth did it even come from and who started it? So the woman who started it with her 2 partners used to teach students programs like Photoshop and InDesign, which if you've ever tried to play with those and you're not technically inclined like me, are relatively, which for me are very difficult to learn and use. So she and her 2 partners started Canva to make great graphic design easy for the rest of us. And I, for one, am very grateful. So be warned, though, because once you start playing around in Canva, it can become quite the habit. It is very easy and very fun. And like I said, that Let's Get Started image that we kicked off this Canva section with took me about 35 seconds. Here's another image I created in Canva. It says 5 ways to create a social media call to action that converts. So we're going to talk about how I made this in Canva. We're going to look at it step-by-step, screenshots of my computer, and how easy it was for me to make this. And that is my own photograph. By the way, I didn't use any Canva photographs for this. And any of the elements that I used, the words, the fonts, the little megaphone, those all are free in Canva. So we're going to take this step by step, look at this now. And then we'll also get into, what on earth I might use this for. How would I deploy it through social media, and how could it serve me in the long run? So hopefully this doesn't look too small on your screens. But this is a screenshot when you log into or just go to canva.com. I happen to be logged in. You might see my tiny little name up there in the right-hand side. But you just simply, if you don't have a Canva account yet, you just simply register for one, and then boom, you're going to be looking at the exact same thing right here. And it's very simple. It says Start a New Design. Now, there is a scroll bar that I have a little blue arrow to, and you can scroll that all the way to the right. And there's probably, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 or more already made templates for you, and they're already the proper measurements. You might even notice there's a Facebook cover. There's a little section. It's not circled, but if you, for your Facebook page for your business, if you wanted to design a really cool cover photo or even profile photo, the measurements, the proper measurements are already loaded in. So for what I just created, for the 5 steps for the call to action for social media, I actually used the social media already pre-made template. But if you happen to work with a web designer that maybe revamps your website or keeps it up to date, and they might say, okay, if you're going to make these certain images for your website, I need them to be, 400 pixels by 200 pixels. I'm just totally making this up. But they might give you parameters for the size of an image that's going to display best on your website. And in that case, you can still use Canva. You'll see a blue oval on the right side of that screenshot, and it basically just says use custom dimensions or use custom measurements. And all you would do is click on that, and it gives you 2 boxes, 200, and then you fill in 200 by 400, and it already says pixels, or you can choose inches or centimeters or whatever. And then you go from there, and it's the same exact steps. So they have a bunch of templates already for you, or you can use custom dimensions. So to kick it off, all I did was click on the social media template. This is the next screen that I saw, and you'll actually notice on the left-hand side, there's literally thousands of designs that you can choose from. They're already made. They already have photos preloaded into them. You can swap all the photos out. They already have fonts. They already have words and little mini graphics or icons used in them. You can swap all of that out and edit it any way you like. So you might notice on the left-hand side in those layouts, you'll see the little call to action. I stole all their words right there because I wanted to make it as easy as possible. So what I did is I clicked on that call to action, and it would end up popping it over to that white box to the right. So that's the section where you're going to edit it. So let's pretend I clicked on it. And there it is. It appeared over in the edit box on the right. Now you might notice the photograph itself used in this template, this layout, has a watermark. That's what those faded cross lines are, and then it says Canva in the background. It's very hard to see, but it's very faint. But whenever you see an image that has that watermark on it, that you'll know you have to pay $1 for if you want to use that sunset. Now me, I already had a cool photo of a sunset that I recently took when I was working in Israel a few weeks ago. So I have it circled actually on the left-hand side. So the same place that left-hand side where before we were clicking on the Layout tab and choosing a layout, all I did was I clicked on that Uploads tab where I have a blue arrow pointing to. And I've already uploaded several pictures. But if you have a new picture you want to upload, or if you happen to have connected Canva with your Facebook page account or your personal Facebook account, then the Facebook icon would also show up. And you could pull any of your photos right away from Facebook without really uploading from your computer. Now for me, I just tend to upload. I don't have it connected to my Facebook, so I upload it directly from my computer, and it's very easy. You just click on Uploads, add a new image, and then it shows your My Pictures box from your computer, and you select the image, and it uploads in a matter of seconds. So I uploaded the picture that has the yellow circle around it, and that is a sunset over the Mediterranean in Israel. So when I drag that image, all you do is grab the picture. It could have been the mouse or the rat for all I care, but I chose the sunset. You just grab it and you simply drag it across to that little edit box where the layout showed up for you, and it automatically just drops into place. I didn't even have to move it around. I liked where it landed. Now, if you need to move your photo around, you can if you like. It's very easy. And then you can also, if you want to change the way your photo looks, if you want to make it look kind of antique-y or black and white, or make some of the colors more vibrant, or make it transparent, kind of see-through, you can do that too by using filters. And I'll touch on that probably in a couple slides. But this is how simple it is. All you've done is select a layout, and then you grabbed your photo, dragged it over, and it replaced the Canva photo. So now my image is still free because I used my image and everything else is free that I'm using. Now my screenshot's going to get a little smaller because I needed to put some words on the slides. So when you want to start editing, it's as simple as just selecting the image that you want to edit. In this case, I started with that little megaphone at the top of the image, and it's orange, and I didn't want it to be orange. I wanted it to be green. So you simply start selecting the elements that you want to alter, change, or delete. And here, I'm just changing the color of the megaphone icon that's already there from orange to green. When you select text or other elements, a box will appear with your options. It could be the font, the size, the color, the option to delete that little icon or item altogether. There's a lot of options. So you see this little option bar is gray, and it has a little orange circle. Now if you want to change the color of the megaphone from orange, you simply click on that orange dot in the option bar. That goes ahead and opens up other color options. If you don't like the options that are there, you can create your own color. And here I'm creating the color green that I wanted to use simply by clicking on the color portion of that taskbar, and then there was a little plus sign, which just meant to add a new color to that group of colors that was available to me. And when you click on that plus sign, the color wheel will appear, and then you can choose any color that you want, and I happen to choose that bright green. And then all you do, it's very simple, you do the same thing over and over with each word or element that you decide to change until you have it looking the way you want. Now here in this shot, I'm actually selecting the last part of the text that I want to change. You can see I've changed a lot of things from gray to green and pink. And here I'm just selecting the little slogan at the end, that converts, because it's too dark. It's in that dark gray. You can't even see it on the water because my photograph's a little dark. So I wanted to lighten that up. Now also, I happen to leave all of the words exactly the way it was, simply for the ease of this example. Plus, I liked it because I think eventually I'll write a blog post and use this image. But anyway, you could change it to say anything you want. It could be 3 ways to know you have termites. Make sure you call XYZ Pest Control. You can change the words. You can make it say anything you want. It could say Happy Birthday Grandma, if that's what you want. This isn't just for business. You can use it for personal applications as well. And I already have. I've used it for both. So we're going to change the color of the little phrase at the bottom, that converts. And we're going to change it to another color. And once you've changed it to what you want, when you're finished, you're going to see above that box, above the edit box, is what you're going to see where it says Twitter share, Facebook share, undo, link and publish, or home. So at the top of your slide right now, those are the buttons that are available to you. So for me, I wanted to link and publish it as a PDF. So you simply choose what you want to do with the image. I chose to link and publish it as a PDF. I wanted to save it to my computer as well as save it to my design file in Canva. So once you make your choice, a box will appear like the one below, telling you that A, it was free, that's wonderful, and after a few short moments, you'll be able to see the downloaded file near the bottom of your screen. So one little tip that I've learned is I go ahead and I let that status bar progress as it says preparing your PDF. I let it go all the way across, and then another box will come up and say you can view your downloaded file if it hasn't already appeared. Now for me in Google Chrome, I just look to the bottom left corner of my open window, and I will see the little file sitting there. But it sometimes is still downloading, so don't mess with it because it might cause a little issue. And you might have to go through this one more time with the link and publish. So I just wait till I see that it's 100% complete, and then I go ahead and click on it to open it, and then I can save it with another name if I feel like it, or save it to whatever file in my computer that I choose. So here's the final image that I saved, and I can now use it anywhere I want. For this particular image, I might decide in the near future to write a short blog post, either on my website or for PMP, or a blog, and use this image in my posts and tweets to promote people to click through my site or click through to my site and read the full post. So I'm not sure if some of you follow me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. I did send out a couple tweets yesterday and one this morning, and you might have noticed a picture with it. So there are options, which we'll touch on a few things for Hootsuite at the end. I know I'm getting a little off topic here away from Canva, but just so you know how to use this image, when you're in Hootsuite, you can actually, there's an option for selecting an image. Just like when you're on your Facebook page and you decide to post your status, and it says like add an image, there's a little image icon. It's the same thing. This would just be the image that I selected. And sometimes when I'm linking to the blog post, this image would automatically come up as the image available for that link. So, so that's how I might use it in the future. Now we're going to take a brief look. We're not going to go through the whole step-by-step process again because it's the exact same that you just saw. But looking at another one of those templates, this is a Facebook ad template that I created in Canva. And it's for a fake company. I made it all up, so if you dial that telephone number, at least I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But I just made all those numbers up and made the name up. So this thing started out as an actual ad for pasta, which you'll see on the next slide. And I'm not sure if you can make out in the small little image on the left. The layout is sitting there, and it happens to be talking about pasta. And I happen to just decide to replace all of the pictures with pests and replace all the words with what I wanted it to say for the Facebook ad. So in the process of selecting the layout, obviously now you can see that it says pasta and what it was originally for, and the side 3 pictures are still of pasta, yet there's a picture of termites in there. So what I did is I chose the image of termites and I dragged it over to that area, and it automatically filled in the box that I dropped it on. And I had mentioned before about filters. Filters to make something look antique or make something look brighter. Here, when you click on the photo after you've dropped it in to where you want it to be, you can either leave it alone, or you can click on it and a little bar will come up with your options. And one of the options is filter. When you click on filter, another box opens up like the one that you see on the screen. And I happen to choose the second filter in from the left, and it's titled Drama. And that's the filter that I used for the termite photo. Now here's the same image that you saw before, and this is just simply publishing your Facebook ad. Again, this one's free in Canva because I used my own images. You can also hunt around online for free images, but just make sure you're not overstepping any copyright rules, because some images are not free. There are a lot of services out there where you can actually buy rights or license the use of images, and you can feel free to do that. But a lot of companies that I've worked with actually, empower their technicians to go ahead and snap a lot of photos when they're out there with their smartphones of any issues or of neat insects, and that's actually a great place for you to start for free images because you already own those. So again, there's the little publishing status bar, and we'll end up seeing the final result next. So here's the finished Facebook ad using Canva, and I just dropped pictures in there. There's really no rhyme or reason. I just made sure they were pests. But I did want to show you how you can take the layout. If you like the layout, it doesn't matter what the pre-filled words say in Canva. You can change everything about it. You can change the color. Now on my screen it's showing like a pale green on the left-hand side of this Facebook ad for the background. You could change that to fluorescent yellow if you felt like it. You can change everything. Even the borders of the photographs, they're showing up pale green. But you can make them black if you want. So everything you can edit, which is really neat in Canva. So you can just super customize your ads and your Facebook banners and little social media icons if you want to make them custom for your site. It's just like the possibilities are endless. And what they say on Canva is there are thousands and thousands of layouts for each of those templates. But then on top of it, they actually say in the little search bar for images, and there are free images available on Canva as well. They're not all paid. Just be sure to watch out for the ones that have the watermark. But they say that they have over 1 million images already in Canva. Some of them are free, some of them are $1 a piece. So I just wanted to show you what your options are in Canva. Now, as I always like to do, I like to make sure that everybody knows that there's a lot of resources out there for you. So just like in parts 1 and 2 of Taming the Social Media Monster, we talked about the Hootsuite University. We talked about the tutorials that Twitter offers using Twitter for Business, as well as Facebook on setting up your pages. So all of that help is out there. So each individual social media network or platform that you use generally has a template, or not a template, sorry, well they have templates, but they have tutorials that will walk you through the process. So everything, they do try to make it as easy and seamless as possible. Now Canva has tons of beautiful design tutorials. So they walk you through everything from the basics to picking out the proper color scheme because that makes a big difference. Some colors just don't really look very good together. And they help you to figure out what colors are going to work best over your particular photos or in your particular design. And then they also, there's one that I really like because I am obsessed with fonts and typography. So they have a really nice tutorial on pairing up different fonts so that it actually looks clean and cohesive but interesting, rather than like a crazy clown made it with like 20 different fonts, because I've seen that before. And if you mix too many fonts and the wrong ones together, it can have an unsettling look. So be sure to check out the tutorials that Canva offers. Lastly, Canva also has a blog that you can access from their site, or you can simply sign up for updates, and anytime there's a new blog post, it'll pop into your email. There are even more tips and tricks on the blog that will help you with everything you want to design for use in social media. And I happened to just take a screenshot, a little snip of one of the blog entries that I thought would actually be quite helpful for today's audience. And there is a nice entry on how to instantly transform your Facebook business page. And I highly recommend that you jump onto canva.com and even just read their blog posts. If you don't want to mess around yet playing with your own photos and making your own images, there's a lot of nice blog posts about just taking a different look at the way you use social media and how you design things, and maybe even the photographs you decide to use for your Facebook business page for this blog in particular. All right, now we're going to switch gears. So Canva was all about the graphic design, doing it yourself, using your own images, and it's a really, really cool site. And again, I've used it for several months, and everything I've done has been free. Now we're going to move on to Fiverr. So Fiverr is another really cool tool at your disposal. Fiverr is a website where you can find students and professionals who are willing to take gigs, that's what they call them, for very small fees. Most fees are just $5. Like, I'll design your logo for $5. Seriously, $5. I mean, I think anybody can go ahead and take the chance at just playing with a new logo for $5. So hence the name Fiverr. That's where that came from. Fiverr is used by individuals and companies big and small. So think about not just for graphic design, which is what we're talking about today, but think about all the applications, because Fiverr has, it's endless. You'll find people who, can do everything. Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to the next slide. Sometimes I get excited and I just want to keep talking without transitioning my slides. So here are some of the things you can have done through Fiverr. And trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg with Fiverr. So you can hire somebody for $5 to do a new logo design, which we'll look at an example of that soon. You can then also find somebody to do a computer animated logo design, where they animate your logo and it moves around and maybe it spins and does whatever you want it to do. Video intro clips using your logo. So like I said, we talked a little bit about what we'll get into videos a little bit today as well. And if anybody's got a YouTube channel, or even just, makes cool little, maybe you just post your clips from your iPhone or your smartphone and you post those little video clips directly on your website. That's cool too. You might want to jazz those up and have somebody design a cool intro for your video, so that every time you have a video, maybe your company name and your website and your phone number come up, so that you really own that video. Because sometimes you got to be careful what you post on the web. Somebody else might hijack it. It's not always totally secure. Not that I want to frighten anybody, but video intro clips, very cool, using your logo or your theme. You can also have like a transcriptionist. I have some friends in business coaching and in life coaching, and they do webinars like this. They do conference calls. They market themselves a million different ways, and they also end up taking the recording of their webinar or their conference call, and they send it to a person that they find on Fiverr. And the latest one of my friends used was it was $5 to transcribe every 15 minutes. So for a 1-hour webinar, they basically produced a script, basically a transcription of everything that was said. For that 1-hour time, it would cost that business coach $20, so $5 for every 15 minutes. So that's kind of neat. There's also people on there that will write the copy or the content for your marketing materials. They have people who make audio items like voiceovers and phone hold messages. So if you want like a snazzy new hold voice for your hold message on your phone, you could have somebody with an Australian accent or a British accent. I mean, it's kind of fun to think about what you could do. There's also people who go ahead and proofread and edit content for you, which is always nice. For some of the things that I do, I always like to have a second set of eyes read things that I've written for magazines or for websites, and make sure I'm not missing something or I'm not making some terrible grammatical errors. And there's simple proofreading and editing people out there. The possibilities really are endless. So when you go to Fiverr.com, that's all it is, Fiverr.com. When you go to Fiverr, I just took a little screen snip here, and here's some of the ad examples. So you'll see that the lady on the upper left, she'll record a professional voiceover in a British or American accent for $5. And then the person on the right, not sure if that's a drawing of him or it's just some of his artwork, but he'll create a black and white vector. And the gentleman down in the lower left, he apparently is into biotech and features and benefits content, and he writes articles on biotech, food and beverage, and chemical technologies. And then the fourth ad looks like it's an ad for creative writing for your Facebook page. So it's kind of neat, and it's super inexpensive. Think about how much time you might spend. This is where we all tend to get hung up, I think. When we always want to do everything ourselves, we don't realize that our time could be better spent doing what we're experts at. And sometimes, for me, I'm not necessarily in love with my own voice. So if I had a company and I needed to record the hold music, I might hire that lady in the upper left and pay her $5 because, heck, for $5, she's working on it, and at the same time, I could be doing what I am better at, what I'm normally out doing business in. So that's another thing you need to think about is if you're going to do something yourself, like gosh, try to build your own website, is it really the best use of your time, or can you find someone on Fiverr relatively inexpensively to build your website for you? And I think you're understanding what I'm getting at. You want to make sure that you're being efficient with your time and with your own skill set. So let's stay with the graphic design theme of today and look at what Fiverr's Graphics and Design tab shows us. So again, another shot of my computer screen. And it says Graphics and Design, the world's greatest creative talents. On the left-hand side, you'll see that there are categories. So the category that's selected at the moment happens to be all in graphics and design. And when you select a category, on the right-hand side, the little ads pop up. Now, I shouldn't say pop up, they're just there. And they have a little green box that shows their pricing. So the first ad you see is, I will design 3 awesome and professional logo design concepts for you for $5. You really can't beat that. I've recently hired somebody to design a logo for me, and she's $200 flat fee because she's a friend of mine. And I hired her well before I learned about Fiverr. So I will probably have a kind of an expensive, let's hope I love it, logo. But it's so nice to know that Fiverr's there, and that maybe if I don't like that logo, for $5 or $10, I could get like up to 6 different logos to choose from, and maybe I could switch up the logos and switch up the look of what I'm going for. So having things so inexpensive like this, and the turnaround time, by the way, is really quick. You work that out directly with the artist or designer or person that you have hired for the gig directly. So if they commit to 24-hour turnaround time, they've got to stick to it. They might, say I can do it in 8 days or I can do it in 4 days. So this is all stuff that you work out directly with the person that you're hiring. So Fiverr is pretty self-explanatory to use. It's free to sign up, and you simply click on the ads that you're interested in and communicate with that artist, the designer, or the professional to determine the job or gig that you want to hire them for. Pretty easy. Let's take a look at how a local PMP in South Florida has used, I happen to be in South Florida, so that's why it's local to me, how they have used Fiverr to redesign their logo from a 2-dimensional look to more of a chrome 3D look. And you might notice, hopefully it's coming across, translating well on your computer screens, the top image is rather flat. That's the older logo with the iguana on it above. And the new logo from a Fiverr gig that they hired kind of looks more like one of those bubbled out stickers. So there's a nice shine on the top, and it's actually got more of a chrome, shiny metal edge around it. And to me, it just looks cleaner. And it actually, for me, I think it did achieve more of a 3D look than a 2-dimensional look. So the company that we just looked at, they ordered multiple logo designs from several different designers available on Fiverr to be able to compare, as well as to have a bunch of different choices when it came to the logos they were going to use. So at $5 a piece, or like that one ad you saw for $5 for 3, it's a very small investment to freshen up the look of your website, or even think about it, truck decals, graphics. If you're going to do a wrap for one of your vehicles or for all of your vehicles, really take a second look at everything that's available on Fiverr, because I really think you guys and gals could save yourselves a lot of money. And I'm all about that. So I mentioned animated logos briefly before. Now, animated logos using Fiverr, I think this is super cool, as you can see. I think it's one of the coolest gigs you can do. I'm into the animated stuff. I like the videos, and there's a lot of people available on Fiverr. And you can also see their portfolios and some of the work that they've done. You can talk to them and ask them to share what they've done, so you make sure that you're hiring the person that you really want to work with. So that same PMP, who's like a Fiverr addict now, has a YouTube channel. And all of their technicians and managers use their iPhones to make short video clips when they see something interesting on their jobs. So he compiles them, these video clips together, and makes short movies and posts them to the YouTube channel, and he also uses them on his website. So this PMP hired designers on Fiverr to create not only flat images of the logo, but also animated images as well. And they now use the animated logos as intros for their new YouTube videos. So think about that. Like, for me personally, if I had a YouTube channel, which I don't, but I might think about it, you never know, it would be neat to have a consistent intro, maybe a consistent theme. It's animated, maybe it's a logo, maybe it's just, the way the graphics move around in the first few seconds before it leads into my video. I think that's really neat. It adds consistency to the look, it links all of your videos, and kind of gives you that nice thread that connects everything that you do. So we're going to take a look at the first animated logo that this company received using Fiverr. That was pretty neat, huh? Let's take a look at a second animated logo option from Fiverr. And just so you know, you can have these, run 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. You are in control of what you're having created. And now for the grand finale. I hope you enjoyed both of those animated logos, and the wheels are starting to turn about just how cool you can make some of the offerings you have on your website, how you can freshen up your websites and your blog posts and your social media, and if anybody out there has YouTube channels. So hopefully the wheels are turning and you're realizing there's just so much that's out there for you that's really simple and most of the time very inexpensive. So this PMP, like I mentioned, he uses iMovie to make most of their YouTube videos. And they were actually able to integrate those animated logos from the Fiverr designers into a short film that they made. And I'm going to show you the short film now. Hope you enjoyed that. All right, now you might think this is all really cool, but what does it have to do with social media, right? Well, it's all content, especially the short movie. Remember when we covered using Hootsuite in Taming the Social Media Monster Part 1? If not, that's okay. You can go back and watch it on YouTube. And how you can use your posts and tweets to drive people to something. You really want to drive people. You don't just want to tweet mindlessly and endlessly or post things that don't go anywhere. You want to have a call to action. You want to drive people to something, to your website, to your blog post, to your YouTube channel, because you want to just continually expose them so that you're top of mind. When they do have a pest problem, they're like, oh, I remembered such and such company, and they call you. Or they might be looking right away for a pest management professional, and they call you. So think about how you can also use these items in that. So you could make that movie, and then you could use Hootsuite to go ahead and deploy a tweet or post, a message across several of your social media platforms with a clip to that movie. So it's just about getting people to go check out your content. So we're going to wrap up today in a few minutes with Hootsuite. Now I know we talked about it extensively in Part 1, but I want to wrap up today's webinar recapping Hootsuite just a bit, because I know that when anyone's even thinking about using social media for business, the number one concern is time. That's what everybody brings up to me is time. We all wonder, how much time do I have to dedicate to this? How much time does it take to be successful? I don't have time to constantly post and tweet. It's taking over my kids' lives, and I don't want it to take over mine. I hear that one a lot from business owners. So Hootsuite, which I still love, and there are other. Now, Hootsuite is a dashboard where you can manage all or only some of your social media networks. You choose which ones you want to manage through it. Now, there are other ones available, just so you know. Hootsuite, I still use the free version because I'm all about free. There is a paid version where you can run, a whole bunch of networks through it, social media networks at one time. Me, I don't really need more than 5 at once, so I just stick with the free version. So Hootsuite does a number of time and space-saving things. Number one, you can create a shortened link, which we'll look at in a second, to whatever you're trying to direct people to. So instead of having to type some really long web address and use up all the allowed characters, Hootsuite makes a really nice short one that fits well into your tweet or post. Second, Hootsuite allows you to post the same message across multiple social networks at one time. Now don't worry. If you manage your personal Facebook page and your business Facebook page on the same Hootsuite dashboard, you're not going to post personal stuff to business and business stuff to personal. You actually have to physically choose which networks you're going to deploy your message to. So, for example, this morning when I woke up and I tweeted everybody, actually it was well after I woke up, just in case you check the time now on that tweet. When I tweeted about today's webinar, I only chose LinkedIn and Twitter because I didn't choose my personal Facebook page. I could have if I wanted to, but I didn't. So that's just an example. And then thirdly, you can even schedule posts to go out when you're on vacation, when you're sleeping, or at special times or seasons during the year. Also, just so you know, there's been a lot of research on certain times of the day to post that'll get you more likes, more views, more click-throughs. That's another webinar altogether. And there's actually, you can Google that, optimal times to tweet when I'm on an East Coast time zone, or optimal times to tweet to target the lunch hour in California. It just depends, on what you're looking at. So there are some optimal times to send messages out. All right, something from a girl I've worked with, a woman I worked with, I should say. She's extremely successful. Her name's Christine Gallagher. I just love this quote from her. She's got a company called She's Got Clients. And she is a social media for business guru. So feel free to look her up. She's pretty fantastic. Practice ninja time management. I think anything with ninja in it makes me laugh. But practice ninja time management and appear to be everywhere. That's what Hootsuite gives you. Using a platform like Hootsuite gives you that appearance that you're everywhere all the time when really you only spent 20 minutes on it, maybe in a week doing what you wanted to do on social media. Hootsuite's the dashboard I talked about that allows you to link your networks and post across all of them at once, so you're not wasting any time posting to each individual network, which is what I used to do until I discovered Hootsuite, thanks to Christine. And the basic version is free. There are paid versions, there's professional versions, there's super versions for business. But again, I think you can get by just playing with the free version, especially initially, unless you really want to get wild. And then always remember, when in doubt, you can search for helpful videos and instruction on how to use certain features of the various social media networks on their sites. We talked about this briefly. But most networks offer assistance like the Hootsuite Social Media Coach. There's also a Hootsuite University now, with lots of courses. You can become certified as a social media professional if you really want to get into it. And then Twitter. I really like the art of the tweet, that tutorial. It talks about mastering the basics and building your community and how to market with Twitter. So these are all pretty helpful tutorials and free options out there for you. So let's peek at my Hootsuite dashboard before we wrap things up today. And it's probably very difficult to see, but I'm only looking at right now my Instagram feed, my sent tweets from Twitter, and my LinkedIn updates. And on the LinkedIn updates, I'll zoom into that. I will show you the post that I deployed via Hootsuite earlier this week. It basically says, get ready for Taming the Social Media Monster Part 3 this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern with me and PMP Magazine, Control Solutions, and North Coast Media. And here's that call to action. So if you want an example, it just says, click here to register, and has that shortened link. Now that shortened link is something that Hootsuite created so that it's not this super long, crazy, 50-character link that takes up all of your room. So it makes it nice and manageable. And then because of that little shortened link, and when I go through Hootsuite, it allows you to show what you're linking to, a small snip of it. And so that's me and the pest management professional webinars, little snippet there about this week's webinar. So I used Hootsuite to promote the webinar and the link to register for it. By using Hootsuite, I'm able to select any of the social media networks I use. I could just deploy it to one, I could deploy it to all of them, or just two of them, whatever you want. And then you can even schedule the post or the tweet to go out at a specific time if you want. So for me, Hootsuite is a major time saver. I'm all about efficiency and ease, and also free. So if you want to know a little bit about me, those are some things I'm into. So that wraps up today's webinar. I hope that I have helped you demystify social media for business just a bit more. And I hope that we've been able to build on your skills throughout this series. So remember, this has already become a 3-part series. There's 2 more parts. If you haven't seen them, check them out on YouTube. And if you guys and gals would like even more topics related to marketing or marketing using social media, please feel free to let PMP Magazine or me directly know, and we'll be happy to continue the series. Trust me, I am not an expert in social media marketing. What I do is I share what I've learned with everybody around me, and I just haven't been afraid to try new things. But I want you to know that social media changes so much that I really, I think there's just people who are really good at it, and there's people who are at least willing to try, and that makes them a little better at it. So there are some gurus out there that dedicate their whole business to it, but you don't need to be like that in order to be successful with it. That's what I really want you to know, is that you can be an amateur like me, and you can appear to really have it together. And there's a lot of tools and tips and tricks that I hope that we've shared with you that can help you on your way.
All right. Well, if that is the end of the presentation, we can jump into some questions from Marie now. We got a few here. One that came through online. Does Canva provide you with an HTML code once your image is complete?
That's actually a good question. I've always just published to a PDF, and then I've snipped it in my computer to make a JPEG. So most likely when it says to link and publish, there are a couple options you can choose. So it may end up doing that. I don't know for sure, though. That's something that you just have to play with to find out.
And another question that was kind of related, and you kind of covered this, but with smartphones, if someone takes a picture with a smartphone, the quality on those, is that usually then going to be good enough for what they create in Canva?
Oh, yeah. That picture that I took in Israel was with my iPhone 5.
Oh, okay.
So that sunset, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it depends on what version you have and how good the camera is on the phone. But absolutely, you can do that. And then you have to think about, how big you might be blowing it up later on. But anything for web use and social media use, smartphones are absolutely fine.
Okay, we've got another one here that says, I used Canva, really liked it, and was wondering if you know of any software I could upgrade in order to try more detailed projects. It says, also, do you know how much I would need to budget for those programs?
Well, I guess some of your next, again, I'm not a graphic designer, so I have to give you that disclosure right now. That's why I love Canva so much, because I'm not technically inclined to jump into InDesign or Photoshop. I don't know how much they cost, but if you really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of manipulating each and every element of what you're creating, I would believe those might be your next steps, and I'm not quite sure what their price tags are.
All right, let me see what else we have here. It says Fiverr seems like a good deal, but what's the cost usually if I want to hire a graphic designer that I can meet and talk with in person?
Oh goodness, that's a great question. I gave my own personal example. And it's one of my friends just giving me a flat rate of $200 for one single logo. And we're still going back and forth with the actual design. I've heard that anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour of them spending time on it. And then remember, they could be going back and forth with you several times. So comparing Fiverr to a live individual, there's going to be a really big difference in the price. It depends on what you want. If you really need that personal touch and you want to sit and meet physically in person with somebody, then you can go that route, and especially if your budget permits that. But if your budget doesn't permit that, Fiverr's really a fantastic option, because you still are communicating directly with the designer. You're just not doing it, sitting at a desk. You're doing it over the phone or via email. And some of them will even Skype.
All right, another question. Well, somebody had mentioned online that they were really impressed with the short video, and they were wondering how they could feature a movie like that in a post. How would they go about putting a video like that together?
Okay, so that's kind of like a multi-part question. So putting it together, the company that made that video, JP Miller & Sons, they use iMovie. So they have a Mac, and they use iMovie, and I haven't messed with iMovie too much, but from what I understand, it's relatively simple. I know that you can take even a montage of your video clips that you take with your iPhone and just cut the pieces. It's just like selecting and line them up in iMovie in order to allow it to flow. Now that was, to me, a more advanced movie done in iMovie. So I think you would just really have to play around with the program to see how it would work for you, And then I think the first part of the question was, how would you use it maybe in social media? Was that part of the first?
No, I think you pretty much answered the question.
Okay.
I was rewording it as I was asking, so I think you covered the way they asked it. So I think we're good on that one.
If I can take one more second, if you wanted to use a video like that, or even just a general video clip, you can just take video with your iPhone. It doesn't have to be super fancy and done in iMovie and jazzed up, unless you really want to play with that, which I highly encourage. But if you just want to post one of your videos, maybe to YouTube, that you took with your phone, which a lot of people do, you can deploy that. And this we go into detail in Part 1 when we really go over Hootsuite in Part 1. But basically you would open up YouTube where you've uploaded that video, and you simply, on your bookmarks bar, would be able to create that, it's called a Hootlet, which is part of Hootsuite. And that's how Hootsuite knows where they need to direct people to in your message to make that shortened link. So you could then, you could all of the steps would be take your little video on your iPhone, upload it to your YouTube channel, be on the page of your YouTube channel, and click on the little hootlet on your bookmark bar because it's already been installed when you have a Hootsuite account. And then it reverts back to your Hootsuite dashboard where you type in your little message and say, click here, and then it's that shortened link to go view my cool new video on YouTube. So I want to make sure, because Hootsuite has come up a lot since the first 2 installments of Taming the Social Media Monster. And just so you know, there's a full tutorial of steps in part 1 on how you would go from just the simple making of the video to then deploying it through social media.
All right. I think that's all the time we have for questions. I want to thank Marie Knox for another knockout webinar. We have been getting lots of great feedback through this webinar, so we really appreciate it, Marie. So until next time, unless anybody has anything else they'd like to add, thank you for signing up, tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for attending the Taming the Social Media Part 3 webinar. A recording of this webinar will be posted on the mypmp.net website and will be emailed to you 2 weeks from today. Please visit the Pest Management Professional website for information about future events like this one, including one in September. Thank you for attending, and have a nice afternoon.